Hiya, welcome to this video on fractions, decimal and percentage conversion. So the first thing I want you to do is make a diagram like this on a piece of paper, because this is going to be your help sheet for the rest of the questions that you do. So what we're going to do is basically every single arrow is going to have an instruction on it, and that is going to allow us to get from one thing to the other seamlessly. So to get from a decimal to a percentage, I multiply by 100. Okay? To get from a percentage to a decimal, I divide by 100. Okay, so they're the really easy ones. So if we take an example of those, so if I had 0.6 as a decimal, 0.6 times by 100 gives me 60%. If I have 60% as a percentage, I divide it by 100 to get back to 0.6 as a decimal. Okay, I'll do some more examples later on. Right, we'll keep the same number. Okay, I'm now going to turn 60% into a fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place over 100 and cancel. So if we take this example, so that's 60 over 100, and I'm going to simplify that. Okay, you could do tens, twos, I'm going to do tens. So if I divide top and bottom by 10, then that's going to be 6 over 10. If I then keep going and divide both of these by 2, that becomes 3/5. So the fraction version of 60% is 3 over 5, or 60 over 100 if you want the unsimplified version. Okay. Right, we'll keep the same numbers. So how could I turn 3/5 or 60 over 100 all the way around the diagram back into a percentage? Okay, so how could I turn a fraction into a percentage? Well, what you're going to do is, if it's already out of 100, really life is nice and simple, you're going to read it off. So 60 out of 100 is 60%. It's not out of 100. Okay, so let's give you another example. Let's go for, I don't know, 1/2. Okay, 1/2 is not out of 100. Yes, it's one we know. I'm going to scale this up to 100. Okay, so if I times this by 50, it's going to become out of 100, and I can read the percentage off. Really straightforward. Okay, so you could scale up to 100 on the bottom, the denominator. Okay, didn't mean to rub that out. The other way you could do it is to do the top divided by the bottom, so the numerator divided by the denominator, and then times that by 100. Okay, so any number you can't. So if you had 8 as the denominator, I would do, so let's take 3 over 8. I would do 3 divided by 8, and then multiply that by 100. Okay, in order to give me my value. So that is going to give me 37.5%. Okay. I could turn a fraction into a decimal by doing top divided by bottom. So that's that arrow there. So I would do 3 divided by 5 to give me 0.6. There isn't a crystal clear quick cut method of turning a decimal into a fraction. Okay. So the best way to go from decimal to fraction is to actually turn it into a percentage and then turn it into a fraction. It makes life a lot easier. Okay, so if I was taking 0.6 into a fraction, I would do that as 60%, and then I can put it over 100 and cancel it down. It's just the quickest way of going about doing this. So let's have a look at a few more examples then. So let's take 68%, and we're going to turn that into a fraction and into a decimal. So how did we say to turn 68% into a fraction? We said put it over 100 and cancel it. So I'm going to start with 68 over 100. Even at your GCSEs, you will get some sort of credit for 68 over 100, even if you have cancelled it. So, what could I divide into both of those? Well, 2's would fit in straight away, they're both even. So I could get down to 34 out of 50. Okay, so if you're not sure what numbers go in, start with 2's. They're both even again, so let's try 2's again. So that's going to take me down to 17 out of 25. I can't cancel any lower, so I divided by 2 and then divided by 2 again. So that's the same as dividing by 4. Okay, so 17 out of 25 is the equivalent fraction. In terms of the decimal, we said to divide it by 100, so 68 divided by 100 is 0.68. Okay, so nice and straightforward there. Okay, so let's take another one then. Let's do 17 out of 50. Okay, so let's do 17 out of 50. I want to turn this into a percentage and a decimal. Okay, so we're going to do the percentage first because we know that percentages to decimals is really easy. So 17 out of 50, the method to get it to a percentage, if you can scale it up to 100, then scale it up. So I can turn 50 into 100 by doubling it. So I'm going to do the same to the top, which will make that 34 out of 100, which is 34%. Okay. Now we can turn that into a decimal really easily because 34 divided by 100 is 0.34. So it doesn't matter where you start, because of the diagram that we drew earlier, regardless of which one you're given, you should be able to get to the other ones. Okay, just make sure you cancel any fractions down. But this is your lifesaver. This tells you what to do for every single thing. Good luck. Let me know if you need any more help.